Welcome to Diablo the Complete Story. With the release of Reaper of Souls coming out for the PC real soon, we thought it was a good time to touch on the Diablo storyline. Diablo 3 release was drowned out by the release of a real money auction house that many gamers claimed ruined the game. Did it ruin it for you, or did you enjoy having it? Let us know in the comments down below. All information gathered here is from our first-hand experiences of playing the series and confirming it on the Diablo wiki. Let me tell you a tale. One of a war between heaven and hell called the Eternal Conflict. Our world of Sanctuary was originally a haven, a place for angels and demons who were tired of this war to seek refuge. It was created using a crystal known as the World Stone. The Eternal Conflict continued for many years until some of Hell's lesser demons decided it was time for a regime change as they weren't winning, and so they planned an uprising. Asmodean and Belial led the uprising, and they banished the primevals of Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal to the mortal realm of Sanctuary. With the primevals now on the mortal plane, Archangel Tyrael started the Herodym religion to give them the Soul Stones. Their purpose was to lock away the primevals in these stones. Each of the primevals became sealed in their Soul Stones, but it was actually Deckard Cain's ancestor, Jared Cain, who finally sealed Diablo away in his Soul Stone. With that, all of the primevals were sealed away and the Eternal War would continue. Time would pass forward and the Herodym would fall apart and new residents would move into the town of Tristram. There was a problem though. The Soul Stones were not capable of lasting forever like everyone thought that they were. The Soul Stone holding Diablo would grow weak enough to the point where he could telepathically reach out to somebody. The first poor soul that would be lost to Diablo's power was Archbishop Lazarus, who Diablo would eventually convince to shatter the Soul Stone, freeing the spirit of Diablo. But the Soul Stone did do part of its job, and it did weaken Diablo to the point where he didn't have a physical body. Well, as time passed back on the surface, so did the residents of the Herodym Monastery. Unbeknownst to him, the good King Lorik actually placed his throne room in the monastery, and that monastery sat atop the location where the Soul Stone was being kept. Once freed, Diablo tried his best to possess King Lorik, but he couldn't. He wasn't strong enough to fully take over King Lorik. He did, however, have enough power to corrupt Lorik's soul and numb his mind. Not easily defeated, though. Diablo would convince Archbishop Lazarus to kidnap the young Prince Alberic as a new potential host. Being so young, it was easy for Diablo to take and corrupt him. And upon taking physical form again, his terror would be so great that he would actually break the lines between Sanctuary and Hell, allowing Hell to break into the physical world. But he wasn't strong enough yet. Not strong enough to accomplish his goals, at least. You see, he wanted to release his brothers, Baal and Mephisto, so he waited for his power to grow so he could accomplish his goal. While Diablo was growing in power, the now maddened King Lorik was slaying his own court, and his court laid him to rest beneath the town of Tristram. If only it could be a restful sleep, but sadly, with a soul as corrupt as his, he will be returning. This is where the Hero of Ages comes into play in our story. The legends are a bit vague, some saying that he was a warrior wielding mighty weapons of great destruction, some saying he was an all-powerful sorcerer controlling the very elements, while some actually say that she was a rogue and a sister of the Sightless Eye, one of the greatest archers ever. Regardless of what the legends say though, the hero arrived in Tristram and proceeded to go into the very bowels of hell. The stories are unclear, but somehow the hero knew what to do. They proceeded to go into the dungeon and kill Archbishop Lazarus. Once they killed the Archbishop and he was out of the picture, the hero walked right into the 16th floor of the dungeon to fight against Diablo in his weakened form. The hero managed to defeat Diablo and reseal him in the Soul Stone. Well-intentioned, the hero then put the Soul Stone into their own head to try and contain the Lord of Evil. But not even this hero could overcome and remove Diablo from existence. Our hero became known as the Dark Wanderer and began to travel east, slowly but surely losing their humanity to the Lord of Terror. Things then go to a simple man, Marius, who witnesses the Dark Wanderer losing control. Marius chose to follow the Dark Wanderer, and it's thanks to him that we know the story of what happened to the Dark Wanderer. But we'll come back to that story in a second. This is where our new heroes enter the picture of our story, and after rescuing Deckard Cain, they proceed to defeat one of the lesser evils that has been left in Tristram. Our heroes then chase after the Dark Wanderer, and they head for Tal Rasha's tomb. Tal Rasha is the hero who locked Baal away in a soulstone, but he couldn't contain one of the primevals either, so he had himself sealed away with the Baal soulstone. The Dark Wanderer was going to try and free Mephisto and Baal, so the heroes were hoping to cut him off, but they were too late. The Dark Wanderer tricked Marius into removing the soulstone of Baal, and in fear of everything that was happening, Marius ran away. But even though Marius took the soulstone, Baal was free, and he joined the Dark Wanderer. Baal and Diablo went off and freed Mephisto, and after that, they opened up the portal to Hell, and the Dark Wanderer finally submitted and shed his human form. He was officially Diablo again. Our heroes weren't very far behind though, and they followed everyone into the portal of Hell, and it was there that they met with Mephisto. Once they managed to defeat him, they took his soulstone and they stepped even deeper into Hell. And inside of Hell, they went toe-to-toe with the now fully powered Lord of Terror. But they prevailed. They took both soulstones, that of Mephisto and Diablo, and they smashed them on the nearby Hell Forge. But these heroes, their work wasn't done. Baal's soulstone wasn't with his brothers, so they set off to find the Lord of Destruction's soulstone. But if you remember what I said earlier, Marius ran off with that soulstone. Well, Marius was ordered to bring the soulstone of Baal into Hell to destroy it with the heroes by Tyrael. But Marius wasn't strong enough. Instead, he was afraid and he hid. He told me this story, and shortly after telling it to me, he was burned alive by Baal, who took his own soulstone back. Marius wasn't strong enough to get rid of the soulstone, but these heroes, they are. Baal set forth to corrupt the worldstone, but those heroes, oh my are those heroes strong. They defeated Baal, but he had already corrupted the worldstone to an extent, and due to that, Tyrael had to destroy it. So what came next? Well, let's take a minute to catch our breaths, and I'll continue my story.